Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here with another weekly devotional for you this Wednesday. I'm going to switch gears from what we've been doing lately and read from Scripture from Eugene Peterson's version, The Message. One of the lectionary readings from this past Sunday that we didn't focus on in Scripture, but I thought was a good one for this week. It's Romans 6, verses 15 through 18. Paul says, "Now, since we are out from under the old law, does that mean we can live any old way we want? Since we're free in the freedom of God, can we do anything that comes to mind? Hardly. You know well enough from your own experience that there are some acts of so-called freedom that destroy freedom. Offer yourselves to sin, for instance, and it's your last free act. But offer yourselves to the ways of God, and the freedom never quits. All your lives you've let sin tell you what to do. But thank God you've started listening to a new master, one whose commands set you free to live openly in his freedom." Saints, freedom is a tricky subject, I think. We just celebrated 4th of July, Independence Day, and quite often when we think about freedom, we think about the American ideal of freedom, of independence, of self-determination and self-governing, which is not just a national thing that we don't want to have another country ruling over us, but also a very individual thing that we don't want to have government telling us what to do and how to live. We want to be free to make our own decisions as much as is reasonable within the structure of a society. But the problem with that understanding of freedom, when we look to Scripture, when we look to the biblical idea of freedom, is that they don't seem very compatible. Paul is talking about freedom as the decision to choose which master we serve, and that doesn't sound a whole lot like freedom at all. The tricky thing is, when we make choices, they always have consequences, don't they? Every decision that we make moves us in one direction or another, and it makes certain other decisions either possible or not possible. I think about this with my daughter. Since she's a child, she probably doesn't feel like she has a lot of freedom sometimes. She has teachers telling her what to do at school. She has coaches telling her what to do on the ball field. She has her parents at home telling her what to do. And she might feel like she doesn't have freedom in the sense of being able to choose to eat whatever she wants for dinner. But her parents are making choices about what's healthy for her to eat so that she'll have the freedom to have a healthy body and to live a life that's not limited by health problems. She doesn't have the freedom to stay up as late as she wants and never go to bed because her parents are making choices for her that give her the freedom to be functional the next day, to not be tired and cranky and unable to participate in whatever good things are going on. The choices that she might want to make for herself if she were totally free would end up taking freedom away from her in the future. And I think that's how Paul is looking at freedom when it comes to us and God. We could make choices that are going to be counter to God's desires and God's plans, but those choices aren't actually going to make our lives better. If we choose selfishness and we choose dishonesty and we choose taking advantage of other people, if we choose tearing others down and competing with them and making enemies out of them, those are choices that we could make, but those are going to lead us to a future where we don't have the choice to live in harmony and community with them. We don't have the choice to be free from the consequences of what we choose. And so what Paul really wants us to consider is, are we making choices that, as a consequence, bring us closer to God or further from God? That's what we ought to consider. That's the devotional for this week. And I hope it's something that's worth thinking about for you. I hope you'll be able to reflect on some of your choices and what freedoms they might be setting up or taking away down the line. Saints, I hope you're doing well and feeling good, staying healthy. I will be praying for you. Please keep praying for me, and I will see you all again soon. Take care.